We're back here live at the Super Bowl. It is Radio Row. San Francisco 49ers going up against the Baltimore Ravens. And now we welcome in a guy that is very familiar with the Philadelphia Airways, and that is head coach Dick Vermeil. Coach, how are you? Zach Gelb, nice to see you again.
I'm doing fine, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing great. We'll get to the wines in just a little bit. But Chip Kelly's the new head man for the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you like about the Oregon guy coming over to Philadelphia and running that system that he does?
Well, I love his win-loss record. Okay, can't get much better. That shows he can coach. That shows he can lead and teach. I know 3 people that were on his staff, and they all have great respect and admiration for him. They say he's a teacher, he's a coach, he's really a brilliant technician, and I think he'll bring a nice dimension to the city and to the organization. And tough act to follow. You know, it's a lot easier to follow a team that hasn't been successful. Andy Reid was a great coach, and the organization's a great organization, and they've done a great job. Sometimes it's hard to improve on that. Fortunately, they didn't finish strong last year, so they're thinking about improving on last year, not the overall 14 years that Andy was there. But I think I feel he's the right guy. I don't know him. I haven't visited other than on the phone. And I'm looking forward to getting to know him real well.
As you know, the Philadelphia media, it's great when you're winning, but it's tough when you're losing. Yeah. So are the fan base. How did you deal with the fans when things weren't going so great with the Eagles?
I think I had a pretty good perspective about it. Nobody likes to be criticized. Nobody likes to be booed. But you have an appreciation. That all comes from passion. That comes from they really care. And they get mad at the team like they get mad at their own kids. They still love their kids, but they spank them. They get mad at them. They yell at them. They discipline them, And they live and die with their teams in Philadelphia, and especially the Eagles. And so I respect that. And having been in broadcasting for 14 years, after that, I even have more of appreciation for it now and an understanding of it now. Though I think sometimes certain phases of the media can get a little too personally mean. And vendettas. I don't like that kind. But, John Wooden told me a long time ago, don't read stuff. Don't listen to the stuff, because what they say about you that is really good probably is exaggerated, and what they say about you is bad probably isn't really true. So stay away from it and don't allow it to be a distraction. And when I was coaching there, I did a pretty good job of doing that.
The big question now is, what are they going to do at quarterback? You saw that when you were at the Rams, they had Kurt Warner. You guys won that Super Bowl. What do you do with Michael Vick? Do you keep him or do you cut him right after the Super Bowl?
I don't know, but I know this. He can run. He can do some of those things, and I wouldn't be surprised if they keep him. Well, and because some of these things that he has done with the offense in Oregon, Michael can do physically. He's run for more yards in the NFL than any other quarterback in history. So he proves he can move. Now, in designed options, in design read options, he hasn't done at this level. But I don't think it's rocket science. I think he'd be able to do it. But they're working. They were working this weekend. Okay, they're working over the weekends because we exchanged phone messages, Chip and I did. So I know they're working at it, and they'll make the right decisions.
Zach Gelb here on the Radio Row talking to former NFL head coach with the Eagles and the Rams. Dick Vermeil also had a brief time stay with the Kansas City Chiefs. And you won a Super Bowl and you lost a Super Bowl as well. And it was actually in New Orleans, happens to be. And the Harbaughs, they're going to feel that feeling on Sunday night of winning and losing.
Right.
Obviously, everyone wants to win, but how does winning a Super Bowl feel, and then how does losing a Super Bowl feel?
Well, first off, both teams, as we sit here and talk, Zach, have done the same things to get here. They're both very fine football teams. The trouble is, after a Super Bowl game, one of them goes home a winner. One of them goes home a team that lost the game. They're not losers. They just lost that game. And but the mindset of our country, the cities that represent the loser get so depressed and so down and so disappointed they forget the fact that they achieved the great thing of getting to the Super Bowl. They both did the same thing to get here. The other thing I can appreciate, because I've lost one and won one, I don't think anybody that's only won a Super Bowl can appreciate the value of the win as much as I do, because I have something to compare it with. I know how it feels to lose one of these things. But we're all big boys in the NFL, and only one team has been here undefeated, and that was the 17-0 Miami team. We know how to handle defeat, and sometimes it hurts a little bit more. But you go back and go to work. My Eagle team came out in 2001 and won the first 6 games of the season. We were the only undefeated team in the National Football League. Okay, after losing the Super Bowl, so they handled it well. We got beat in the playoffs at the end of the year because we were -3 in turnovers.
And whenever time someone does lose, excuses come out. Not
Oh,
usually
yeah.
from the coaches, but it's usually
they're gonna
from the
find it.
fan base. And the big excuse when you lost to the Raiders was Coach Vermeil was too uptight.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm sure I was. Yeah, I don't doubt that.
So
No
how
question.
would you, if you were coaching here again, let's say you were Jim or John Harbaugh, how would you handle the nightlife in New Orleans?
Well, I did not have a curfew like the media has always said. I just told them during the
So
week.
that was false, that the rumors that were coming out after the Super Bowl.
I told them they should be in their rooms at 11 o'clock because we came here to play a football game, not to celebrate the Mardi Gras. If the other team wants to do it, that's fine. But we also have a city to represent. If the Raiders had lost that ball game, if we had beat them, can you imagine the
It'd be a
reasons?
huge upset.
No, can you imagine all the reasons that would have been written about?
Oh, yeah, everyone would have said
they
would
were
have
out in
been
the street. They
partying
didn't.
till 3
They were
a.m.
out. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter. If you lose, there's going to be a reason for it. But the reason we lost that football game, maybe I was uptight. It may be my team. You should be uptight. That's a big game.
Mm-hmm.
But we turned the ball over. We were -3 in turnovers. How many games have ever been won -3, let alone
Not
the Super
too
Bowl?
many.
None in the Super Bowl.
We're talking to Dick Vermeil, WHIP Radio on Radio Row. It is the Baltimore Ravens going up against the San Francisco 49ers. Dick does a great job with Vermeil Wines. You look at these two quarterbacks, though. Joe Flacco going up against Colin Kaepernick. A month ago, no one would have predicted that the Ravens were going to go to the Super Bowl unless if it was the players in that locker room because that offense wasn't playing well. Cam Cameron left, and then they brought in Jim Caldwell to be the offensive coordinator. And then you look at the 49ers. They changed the quarterback midway through the season from going from Smith to Colin Kaepernick. What do you see when you see these two quarterbacks?
Well, I see two very gifted guys. I see a young guy playing at a 97 quarterback efficiency rating, the other guy playing at 89 or 90. So they're pretty close. And you've got to be in that category normally to be quarterbacking a Super Bowl team. But the game will still boil down to who doesn't turn the ball over.
And you
Really?
look at Colin Kaepernick, and I agree with you because turnovers are so key. You look at this Ravens defense. They've been on a long run. They went up against the Denver Broncos, beat them. They also beat the Colts and the Patriots. They've gone against some pretty impressive quarterbacks. Now they're going up against Colin Kaepernick. And the one thing that scares me in this game is you've seen Kaepernick, who spread it out in that Green Bay game. He maybe tire out this Ravens defense. Any concerns when you look at this Colin Kaepernick if you are the Baltimore Ravens defense?
No question, because it's something you don't see every week. So your people have to develop the quick reactions and motor skills to respond to what they see in something they haven't been defensing all year. It's not the normal off-tackle plays and those kind of things. They'll handle those fine. And the power O's, what we call them, that kind of stuff. But it'll be tough on the defense. But, for example, you mentioned Chip Kelly. They got beat by Stanford University.
Yeah.
So defensive coaches can figure out schemes that work. Okay.
But when they did lose that game, he had another opportunity to prove himself. Now
Yeah.
it's win or go home in the Super Bowl. That's what makes it great.
Yeah, right. That's right. But they don't go home losers. They just go home the team that didn't win the Super Bowl.
We're talking to Dick Vermeil, and Coach, there's so many great stories going into the Super Bowl. This is Ray Lewis's last ride. Ed Reed's possible first chance to win a Super Bowl. Randy Moss could have another chance to win his first Super Bowl. I know he did lose to the Patriots. One underrated story, Torrey Smith, week 3, or it was either week 2 or week 3, he loses his brother. And now he's playing in the Super Bowl, and he's been such an underrated player for the Ravens this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, every team has a personality that has a personal story worthy of the country knowing about it. And Torrey's the Ravens story. Kaepernick is the 49ers story coming out of nowhere, supposedly. He was a second-round pick. They invested some money in this guy. He wasn't a total surprise. But, because of the media and the depth of coverage and the extra week in preparation, for the game, for the media as well. And, hey, Radio Row. At one time, there'd be 6 radio stations at a Super Bowl Radio Row. Now, you can't even hardly walk around the building. Everything gets magnified in importance when it comes to the Super Bowl. 33 years ago, Dick Vermeil and my dad, they worked on the same radio show, which is great stuff. It's always great to see you. But before we let you go, tell me a little bit more about Vermeil Wines. Well, we're in some premium stores in Philadelphia. We sell more wine in Houston, Texas than we do Philadelphia. We sell more wine in St. Louis and Kansas City than we do here. Because of the state store scheme, we don't make enough volume for the rules of the state to put us in all the state stores. I can't tell you how many times people say, I can't find your wines. And there's no reason, and the state stores in Philadelphia have no obligation to promote Dick Vermeil wines. and it's just not what they do, and they're not obligated to it. I wish they'd be more aggressive. People can't find it. I wish we could put it in all the stores. Just if they put it in all the stores, they'd have to buy more wine. But it's not a great marketplace for us, and people thinks it's automatic. It should be. First off, our wines are good. Our wines win awards every place we take them now. It took us a while to get them to this level. It took us a while to get in the playoffs, too. The same thing with wine. It takes a while to get it all down so you're making the wines that deserve to be consumed by the real wine people. But in Philadelphia, they can't find it.
Coach, in 3 years, I'll be turning 21. Let's bring some wine over here.
21? You look, really?
I'm only 18 right now.
God
so
bless
in 3 years, I'll turn 21.
What a
we'll
gift.
Come sit at Radio Row. We'll talk some football, and we'll share some
old.
wine and bread. Is that good?
You bet. You
bet.
You
sounds good. Vic,
I was
Dick
drinking
Vermeil
wine at
right
6
there.
years old, for grammar sake.
We'll be back right after these short messages.